What's good, everybody? I'm Keandre, this is Intellect, and welcome back to the channel. So the draft is tomorrow, and I wanted to give y'all another mock before things are finally settled and we can focus on, what actually is going to happen, on court. I put a bit more stock into some of the major rumors we've been hearing as it goes for some of the top selections in this draft. Obviously, some of those are just smokescreen tactics, but for the ones that I felt the most confident about, I definitely implemented those into this mock, whether I necessarily would have taken that route or not. And then we pretty much just built on that from there. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. With the number 1 pick, the Detroit Pistons select Cade Cunningham. In what was likely an attempt to see just how attached Houston is to Jalen Green, there have been rumors saying Cade isn't a done deal. They even brought in Green for a workout. But nonetheless, Cade's the guy. He's got a great all-around game and a good situation that should become even better by the conclusion of draft night if they can hit on 1 or 2 more of their picks. The Houston Rockets select Jalen Green with the 2nd pick in the draft. Now this is one of those situations where I would probably go with Mobley, but all the signs are clear it's going to be Jalen Green. Not to say he isn't worthy though. He's a freak athlete who's wired to score, and I can't wait to see him and KPJ as teammates. And with the value of those Rockets picks in the 20s, Houston is going to be able to put something really nice together tomorrow night, starting with JG4. Cleveland takes Evan Mobley with the 3rd pick. You take the best player available and you let the smoke clear. Keep everybody besides maybe a Kevin Love or Larry Nance around and you just see what happens. Is Jarrett Allen and Mobley the best combo right now? No. But it wouldn't make sense to prioritize Allen over a superior talent just for the sake of fit. Just keep the good young players on your roster and figure it out later. Love the direction Cleveland is going here. At number 4, Toronto gets Jalen Suggs. There's been lots of swirling rumors around a guy like Scotty Barnes in this spot, but I think that might just be a smokescreen. If they are sending Pascal somewhere, then there might be some validity to it, but to me, Suggs is definitely the guy that you go with if you're Toronto. And given how much better players have become in this organization over the last 10 years, Suggs is in a great position. With the 5th pick, the Orlando Magic take Scotty Barnes. This is where things can get weird. Now, I don't have a problem with picking Scotty here. He's super talented, not the greatest fit, but I'm confident they'll figure it out. But what does happen here is going to set off a ripple effect for a ton of teams like OKC, Memphis, and Golden State. Scotty gets to a familiar area in Orlando and will at least add some more talent to this team. With the 6th overall pick, the OKC Thunder select James Bouknight. I personally come around a bit on Bouknight recently. I'm buying the shot and him excelling with NBA spacing, and he should benefit next to a guy like Shea. Unless Sam Presti is playing an unbelievable press game with the Bouknight buzz, for some greater plan, all signs are pointing towards this being the pick at 6. With the 7th pick, the Warriors take Jonathan Kuminga. I really don't like this fit for JK. It actually reminds me a bit of the Wiseman situation last year in some ways. And I've said before the Warriors should exhaust all options to get a couple legitimate contributors or a star if at all possible. But Kuminga is talented, risky, or ill-fitted, and this is kind of one of those times that you just bring in the talent. With the 8th pick, the Magic select Moses Moody. Moody is my favorite sort of insurance pick for the Magic. Whether they take him at 5 because they think Golden State wants him, or get Giddey at 5 and pair them together, he's going to fit in and contribute regardless of circumstance. He's about 6'5", 6'6", long arms, smart defender, and a potential knockdown shooter. I think you have to pick him up here at 8 if you're Orlando, and pair him with his former high school teammate in Scotty Barnes. At number 9, the Sacramento Kings select Franz Wagner. I don't think anyone is going to tell you that Franz is this world beater Tatum Ingram wing or anything like that, but I think his potential has been a bit understated. He's still only 19 years old after playing 2 years in college, and I really like him defensively. He's not a marksman, but he can shoot it, good passer, and he fits well alongside Fox, Halliburton, and the rest of those guys in Sacramento. Franz to the Warriors at 7 has picked up steam, but should he be available at 9, it's a likely selection. At 10, the Grizzlies get super playmaker Josh Giddey. Memphis traded up to get to this spot, so it's clear they've got their eye on somebody, and many reports have said it's Giddey. But with Moody, Bouknight, Franz, and even Kuminga gone, I think you just have to go with it. Now if Giddey's gone before this spot, there is a good chance Kuminga will be available, which is so anti everything they've done to this point, so I'm kind of rooting for that to happen. But in this case, Giddey teams up with Ja and Jaren in Memphis, and they try to make that trio work. Charlotte takes Kai Jones at 11. This has been the spot I've wanted to see Kai Jones end up in. and the feeling seems to be mutual among people in Charlotte's front office. I love his energy, his athleticism, and overall potential that he can bring to the court. It's a great fit for him and another potential weapon for cornerstone LaMelo Ball. The San Antonio Spurs select Jalen Johnson at 12. I think he makes a ton of sense for the Spurs. He's a big forward, plays a position that they don't already have 3 young guys at, which is a plus, and in that organization, I think they can definitely unlock that top 5-ish potential that he flashed at Duke. I also kind of like this as one of the highest landing spots for Alperen Sengun as well, but the Spurs take a swing with Jalen Johnson. The Indiana Pacers get a project wing in Zaire Williams at 13. I'm not 100% sure what Indiana is doing going forward, and they're sort of in a middling situation with a bunch of really solid pieces. And from a rumors perspective, it's not like they've been out here championing a single prospect either. In the end, I really like Zaire's potential for whichever direction that they're headed in. Back up to bat at 14, the Warriors pick Baylor's Davion Mitchell. I like him miles more at 14 than I do at number 7, though this is probably the highest spot I would pick him in this draft. I like him as a tough, experienced rotational guard for them. Pretty much nobody is conceivably going to start for this team, but Mitchell's contribution would be important and give them a dynamic they really haven't had. The Washington Wizards select Keon Johnson at 15. It's not the greatest fit with Russ and Beal, but who knows how long they'll be in DC. And regardless, I do think Keon's energy and athleticism could help them out on the wing. I don't think the Wizards are in much of a position to not take a guy with high upside, given the ceiling of this current roster, but that probably changes if they think they can sign a guy like DeRozan. With the 16th pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Trey Murphy. Murphy is a really nice fit alongside the core of this roster, and I like what he brings to this team as a big 3-and-D wing with potential to really develop further in a situation like this. Murphy's stock has been rising, and OKC goes ahead and picks him before a team like New Orleans could even consider it. At 17, the New Orleans Pelicans select Corey Kispert. Kispert might just be their guy, and it could have been one of the reasons they decided to make that deal with Memphis. In my opinion, they got away with highway robbery, getting rid of Adams and Bledsoe, grabbing an underrated Jonas Valanciunas, and the icing on the cake is they dropped into a more appropriate range for a floor spacer like Corey Kispert. David Griffin and company might be redeeming themselves just a little bit. The Thunder are on the clock once again, and they take Turkish big man Alperen Sengun at 18. Sengun is one of the more polarizing prospects in the class, but OKC is one of the better landing spots for him. He's a super skilled big man, and I think he can realize a lot of his potential in OKC. This core group complements his game nicely, and honestly more than anything, the Thunder have nothing to lose and everything to gain here. With the 19th pick, the New York Knicks select Chris Duarte out of Oregon. Duarte is a ready-made player who should be an easy fit with Tibbs and the best players on this Knicks roster. He can shoot it, he defends well, and can create shots when needed. He is the oldest guy in the class, but he feels a need at the wing for NY, and with Trey Murphy already being gone, Duarte is the best option in my opinion. Jaden Springer is the Hawks pick at 20, and this is probably still my favorite spot for Springer to end up. He complements Trae Young and the rest of this group well, as someone who has the tools to defend the star guards and allow Trae to play a bit more off ball or run second units with your bogeys and herders. The Knicks return to the plate at 21 and bring in Jared Butler. Now there are going to be ample choices for all the teams in this area. It's tough for anyone to tell you what's for sure going to happen on draft night, but Butler makes sense here for a Tibbs-led Knicks squad that already has something going with Emmanuel Quickley, who I think is best suited as an off guard. Butler's a well-rounded player who can run the one and shoot the lights out, should immediately help their team. The Los Angeles Lakers take Trey Mann at 22. Mann is a super talented scorer who is high on my list of guards in this class. I like his ability to shoot from range and create shots on a team with LeBron and Anthony Davis as the. You don't sacrifice any potential with picking him. After getting Jalen Green at 2, the Rockets select Usman Garuba at 23. Garuba's $3 million buyout from Real Madrid has thrown a late monkey wrench into his draft stock. Not that he can't very easily fall to this area on draft night just given the nature of the talent pool, he's now kind of in a weird situation. Teams can only pay about $800K of that buyout, and he'll have to cover the rest. I don't know if that's going to affect anything in any way, but I love him in Houston next to Christian Wood and complementing JG and KPJ's scoring prowess. At 24, the Rockets pick up Sharif Cooper. Jalen Green, Usman Garuba, and Sharif Cooper is quite the haul for Houston. They're going to be in a great position to put together a formidable first-round trio on draft night, and I'm excited to see it. The Rockets can be patient with Cooper's shooting development, but they should be immediately exciting, and he may get the opportunity to be the understudy to John Wall. The LA Clippers are in need of some extra juice and get supreme scoring talent Cam Thomas at 25. Cam is a tremendous scorer, and while the rest of his game is less complete, being with the likes of Ty Lue, PG, and Kawhi should be a good mentorship group for him. With the 26th pick, the Denver Nuggets select Josh Christopher out of Arizona State. I really like the value here for the Nuggets, and Josh Christopher should probably be one of their primary targets. Playing with the MVP Nikola Jokic and a coach like Michael Malone should be great for Jay Gupp, and they could definitely use a guy with his skill set. The Brooklyn Nets get their guy in Isaiah Jackson at 27. I think he makes the most sense for them in the first round of this draft, and that's why they've been rumored to be exploring trade-ups to get him. Here he falls into their lap, but on draft night, there's a very high chance that he goes as high as one of those OKC picks in the teens. The Sixers choose Deuce McBride with the 28th pick. I love this pick, and while Philly isn't really friendly to anyone on their sports teams, Deuce McBride has a chance to get consistent love with his energy and defensive prowess at that guard spot. With or without Ben Simmons, I think McBride is a great fit in Philly, and they'd be lucky to get him considering where his stock has gone recently. The Western Conference champion Phoenix Suns take Bones Highland. He's a dynamic shooter who's mentally built like the Chris Pauls and Devin Bookers. They also need some front court help, but I think Bones' talent is too good to pass up. With the last pick in the first round, the Utah Jazz select Illinois' Ayo Dosunmu. Ayo's a fringe first round guy to me, but Utah is one of those teams that makes sense in round 1. He's got great size and a backcourt rotation that lacks that. He projects as a solid defender, and if the shooting can translate at all, he should be an instant rotation guy, assuming they keep Conley in the building. That is the first round of the mock draft. Usually it feels like teams have to reach for certain players or they're waiting on one or two guys in particular, but this draft feels like many of the first round teams will leave the night happy, especially in the 20 to 30 range. Everyone from Sharif Cooper to Ayo Dosunmu and JT Thor might be available from 20 all the way down to 35. And from an entertainment perspective, you've got to love that. I would expect Milwaukee to explore trades if all of Bones, Deuce, Ayo, and Jay Gupp are gone at 31, but in this mock they take super high upside prospect Josh Primo, even though he may not be ready-made for a Bucks squad looking to bolster their bench immediately offensively. He is the best guard left to me, and I do like him a lot long term. At 32, the New York Knicks pick Quentin Grimes. They need some help on the wings, and Grimes' physical attributes and shooting prowess make a lot of sense for a team led by Julius Randle and RJ Barrett. The Orlando Magic take BJ Boston at 33. After getting Scotty Barnes and Moses Moody, they take a gamble with BJ Boston on the wing. I still like his potential, and in theory he'd be a really nice fit with the squad as he develops. At 34, OKC gets a steal in JT Thor. He's someone who I would consider with both a 16 and 18, but if he falls past the Houston picks, I say there's a good chance he ends up in the early second if nobody trades up for him. Thor and the Thunder is a great pairing for marketing and development, and the league should probably just let it happen. The Pelicans select Jeremiah Robinson Earl at 35. JRE's mistake-free versatile forward. I think he'd be a really nice rotation piece in the front court for this team. He may need to really stretch his game out to the three-point line to make this as synergistic as possible. Think bigger Josh Hart at the very least. The Thunder come back and get Vrens Blyenberg at 36, a guy who will be a heavy early second round candidate. He's worked out for pretty much everyone in the league, but OKC snags the oversized guard here at 36 and keeps it moving with this wealth of upside picks. The Detroit Pistons take a guy they're familiar with in Michigan in Aaron Henry. I like the idea of adding Aaron Henry to the mix of this Pistons team. Potentially throwing a Cade, Henry, Bay, Grant, and Stewart lineup is at least physically imposing and very annoying for teams to see on a Tuesday night in January. The Chicago Bulls select Kessler Edwards at 38. I think Chicago gets some guard help in free agency, and many of their big targets are gone here, so they take a versatile forward who's great defensively. The shooting is still, a little bit up in the air, but he's definitely someone who can help this team out immediately and in the future. Isaiah Todd lands in Sacramento at 39. He's another guy who's picked up a lot of steam lately, as he's quietly the best stretch big in the class. I really like his upside and the skill set he brings to this Kings squad that already took a much different player in Franz Wagner with their first pick. The Memphis Grizzlies picked Sam Hauser at 40. Now this could be a bit of a reach, but a team that just traded JV for Steven Adams and already needed some shooting help, especially on the wing, is an appropriate fit for a guy like Sam Hauser. With the 41st pick, the Spurs get Day'Ron Sharpe. They've been rumored to be in the market for a free agent big as well, but Day'Ron is the best talent available and fits a need here. He's one of the better bigs in the class, and there aren't a ton of them, so he could very well go higher. For that reason, we saw Udoka Azubuike last year. But if he's here, I love him as a talent for San Antonio. Detroit gets Joel Ayayi with the 42nd pick. He's a solid guard prospect who does a lot of things well, including being the best cutter in the class. I can definitely see him being a part of theirs or any of the other early second round guard rotations for years to come. Pelicans take Rokas Jokubaitis as a probable draft and stash guy here, but he should be an asset and a useful bench guard for them in a couple years as a talented lefty guard out of Lithuania. Herb Jones is the pick for the Nets at 44. They take one of the more versatile defensive prospects here, and a guy that I think could have a shot to play alongside KD and the crew should the jumper be even just below average. David Johnson goes to the Celtics at 45. The Celtics could use a bench guard who can get to it defensively, play a lot of different roles, and make plays for others. I think he works well with the other pieces they currently have, and is a talent that might still be a bit underrated. The Raptors select Sandro Mamukelashvili at 46. He's a versatile forward that could potentially bring an interesting dynamic to that team, and I love him in Toronto's organization. And then they get Joe Wieskamp at 47. He's a sharpshooter out of Iowa, got the Iowa connection with Nick Nurse, and you can't have enough shooters. Everybody's looking for the next Duncan Robinson, and you know, maybe it's him. Onyeka Okongwu's injury prompts Atlanta to take Charles Bassey at 48. It's good value for a guy like him, and considering those left available, Atlanta could use another big body. The Nets bring in Jason Preston at 49. I like Preston's game and think he's got good growth still to be made. He's the best talent available who happens to be a Roc Nation client, and while they probably don't have the minutes to offer him, I don't think he can slip any further for the mock's sake. Philly gets Austin Reeves at 50 once again. I don't know how much of a shot he'll get here, but he definitely fits Philly's needs and has a good chance of turning into a useful player in the league. Isaiah Livers goes to New Orleans at 51. You can make an argument for some of the other teams ahead of this, but you know, he couldn't slide any further. The Pels have a lot of picks, but Livers is certainly an option for them. Greg Brown teams up with former AAU teammate Cade Cunningham, going to Detroit at 52. I think he's a swing pick that you're perfectly comfortable with at this point in the draft. Bring him along in the G League and let him show you what he's got. Daishen Nix goes to New Orleans at 53, another good potential prospect. Indiana gets the super athletic guard in Juhan Bajarin at 54. Jericho Sims jumps his way to OKC at 55. Neemias Queta and Delano Banton go to Charlotte at 56 and 57. Philip Petrusev lands in New York late in the draft. The Nets take Justin Champagnie with yet another one of their second round picks. And Aaron Wiggins is the last pick of the draft at number 60 to the Indiana Pacers. Here's the full recap of my final mock draft of the year. That's going to do it for this mock draft. I appreciate you guys for watching. Like I said before, I really just wanted to build off of some of those major rumors at the top, you know, like Scotty Barnes at 5, Kuminga at 7. But as it progressed, I relied less on that and more on, you know, what I would do in the situation. But yeah, appreciate you guys for rocking with the channel. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do next, but we've definitely got some good stuff, you know, coming up. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Keandre, this is Hoop Intellect, and I'm out.